Welcome, educators. I'm Dr. LaKeacha Jett, and today we're diving into an essential explainer exploring a vital letter from our Science of Reading journey, S. Specifically, we're looking at the absolutely critical distinction between structured literacy and systematic phonics instruction. Now, as teachers and literacy leaders, we hear these terms tossed around literally all the time right now. But do we all actually mean the same thing when we say them? Let's find out. To set the stage here, let me share a little story from my own experience. Picture this. I was stepping into a brand new role as a coordinator, working incredibly hard to roll out these massive new literacy expectations under a new state law. Honestly, it was overwhelming. We had new standards, new guidance, just new expectations everywhere. And then, out of nowhere, I get this frantic, panicked phone call. I was told I needed to fix something immediately because the entire structured literacy component was failing. And the reason? Because the quote-unquote phonics slide decks were incorrect. So, I hurried to that meeting, completely unsure of what I was walking into. And when I finally heard the complaint, I just had to take a deep breath, pause, and ask a really vital question. Are we clear that structured literacy is not just phonics? In that exact moment, a massive realization hit me. What often looks like resistance or failure in our schools? Yeah, it's actually just a lack of shared understanding and shared vocabulary among us educators. We simply weren't clear. Section 1. Defining the work. Phonics versus structured literacy. Look, if we don't slow down and actually define these terms, we risk mistaking a single piece of the learning process for the entire puzzle. Systematic phonics instruction and structured literacy are intimately connected, absolutely, but they are not the same thing. Systematic phonics is a critical, essential piece, but structured literacy, that is the broader, overarching approach. Yes, it absolutely includes phonics, but it also wraps in phonological awareness, decoding, encoding, spelling, morphology, syntax, semantics, and deep comprehension. It's the whole shebang, the complete picture. Structured literacy is an evidence-aligned approach. It's explicit, meaning we clearly model and guide our students, rather than just crossing our fingers and leaving them to guess. It's systematic and cumulative, building up step by step. But honestly, most importantly, it is diagnostic, responsive, and multisensory. This requires a responsive teacher, assessing, noticing those little errors, and adjusting instruction right there on the fly. It is definitely not a student guessing, and it is 100% not a teacher simply clicking through a scripted slide deck. Moving on to Section 2, the language of literacy, building shared vocabulary. Because the words we use really do matter, let's start with phonics. Phonics is explicitly teaching the relationship between sounds and letters in a planned, intentional sequence. We are teaching our students that specific letter patterns represent specific sounds. This foundational knowledge is a total game changer because it prevents students from having to guess at words or rely just on picture clues. Those guessing strategies might work for a minute, but they will absolutely fail our kids as texts become more complex. But we really have to go deeper than just sounding things out. We must also wrap our heads around terms like orthographic mapping. Now, this is where the magic truly happens. It's the mental process that shows how deep learning occurs when sounds, spellings, and meanings are successfully connected and locked right into a student's memory for quick automatic recognition. This is exactly how a word becomes permanently stored in the brain. All right, Section 3, why this distinction matters for student success. If we mistakenly believe that structured literacy is just phonics, our students are going to completely miss out on mastering the full, beautiful structure of the English language. I really want you to remember this phrase. Phonics gets a student into an unfamiliar word, step by step. It gives them the code. But structured literacy, that gives students a way into the language itself. It throws wide open the door to spelling, reading fluency, writing, and deep, meaningful comprehension. The code just doesn't live by itself, guys. Section 4. Classroom connection, beyond the slide deck. So let's bring this right down to the carpet. Let's take a specific skill, like the consonant digraph sh, and see how we actually integrate it. This sequence right here is what true responsive instruction looks like in action. First, students hear the sound. Then, they connect the visual sh to that sound. Next, they read words like ship and shop. But wait, we do not stop there. They spell those words, and finally, they read and write their very own decodable sentences. Hearing, connecting, reading, spelling, and writing. Honestly, that is so much more powerful than simply clicking to the next phonics slide and moving on. And that brings us to Section 5, a teacher reflection moment. The science of reading isn't just about knowing the research, right? It's really about your daily, minute-by-minute instructional decisions. So I want you to consider your own practice for a second. Are you merely presenting the code to your students, or are you truly connecting those phonics skills to spelling, writing, and meaning? When a student makes an error, are you diagnosing that need and reteaching, or just kind of moving on to the next thing? Are you providing multiple sensory pathways so the learning truly sticks? I want to leave you with a core belief of mine. Once we are clear about the work, we can do the work with purpose. When we share a clear, unified understanding that structured literacy is so much richer than just phonics, we empower ourselves to teach with deep, life-changing purpose. So I leave you with this challenge. Tomorrow, when you open your lesson plan, are you merely teaching your students how to sound out a word, or are you giving them the keys to unlock the entire English language? Keep doing the incredible work you do.